Good morning, Morgan Maxwell Mountain Lions. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you, and you may be seated.
The grab-and-go lunch menu for today is a corn dog, so be at the bus bay at 11:16 a.m. Just a reminder, you also picked up lunch and breakfast for Wednesday, also on Tuesdays. We have one birthday today. Happy birthday to Santiago L. in Mr. Arias' homeroom. Happy birthday, Santiago. We hope you have a great day. All right, it's time for our spotlight on Black history today. Today we're going to learn about Dr. Mae Jemison, who was the first African-American woman in space. She was an astronaut and physician who on June 4, 1987, became the first African-American woman to be admitted into NASA's astronaut training program. On September 12, 1992, Jemison finally flew into space with 6 other astronauts aboard the Endeavour on mission STS-47, becoming the first African-American woman in space. If you want to read more about Mae Jemison, a good book would be Mae Among the Stars. And now let's watch a quick video about Dr. Jemison.
I grew up in the 60s. I lived on the south side of Chicago. And I was a young girl who loved to stare up at the stars. I imagined myself going there. I studied all the things about the Apollo program. I knew what mission was going to take place when, what it was supposed to accomplish. I decided to go to medical school because I wanted to do something called biomedical engineering. While I was in medical school, I had the opportunity to go and work in a Cambodian refugee camp. I went on to study group in Cuba. I worked with the flying doctors in East Africa. But I still wanted to go into space, so I applied. I picked up the phone. I called down to Johnson Space Center. I said, I would like an application to be an astronaut. They didn't laugh. I turned in the application. There may be a certain naivete when I say, when I applied to the astronaut program, I didn't even think about the fact of whether I would be the first African-American woman in space or anything like that. It didn't even cross my mind. I wanted to go into space. I couldn't have cared if there had been 1,000 people in space before me or whether there had been none. I wanted to go. I thought it was important to take to space with me things that represented people who sometimes are not included. So I took a poster of Judith Jamison performing the dance cry. I took up a Bundu statue, which was for the Women's Society in West Africa. I took up a flag for the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, the oldest African-American women's sorority in the United States, because they hadn't been included, and I thought that was an important thing to do. For me, the experience was one that made me feel very connected with the universe. I felt my being was as much a part of this universe as any star, as any comet. It helped me to recognize that right now, we're in space. This Earth is part of that universe. That was my grand connection. And then I looked down and I saw Chicago. I thought about the little girl who had assumed she would go into space. What would my younger self have thought if she met me? And I think she would have been tickled.
All right, just a few announcements today. I announced this last week, but I just wanted to say again, congratulations to Melanie C. She was our school-wide spelling bee champ, and today she will be competing in the district spelling bee. So good luck, Melanie. We know you're going to do a great job and represent us well. Also, Lunch Bunch is back once a week. So 7th and 8th graders, if you want to pop in today, if there's only a few of you, we can either play a game or do tutoring. It's up to you. And then 3rd and 4th graders today during your lunchtime. All right, guys, did you know that February 2nd is Groundhog Day? If you're like, Miss Hoy, what is Groundhog Day? What a weird holiday. You are absolutely right. You know, I didn't know the origins of Groundhog Day, so I went searching for a little quick video that I thought could explain it to us. And guys, this is such a weird day that instead of Try It Out Tuesday, I think we all really need to know what Groundhog Day is all about.
It is the Super Bowl of weather.
Bring out the bicycles and springtime toys! All hail Groundhog supremacy!
On the 2nd day of February each year, the groundhog gets its moment, especially this little guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Punxsutawney Phil!
He's the world's most famous groundhog, and he makes his prediction of when winter will end every year in front of thousands of fans at a big party in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Phil makes his guess based on whether he sees his shadow. If he does, it's 6 more weeks of winter. If not, we're in for an early spring. The roots of Groundhog Day are centuries old. February 2nd is known as Candlemas Day, when Christians would take out their candles to church to have them blessed, and this would bring blessings to their homes for the rest of winter. This traditional belief made its way to Germany, and that's where the lore got its very first mascot, a hedgehog. The Germans believed this little guy could predict the weather, and as German settlers moved to the States, so did the belief. The problem was there were hardly any hedgehogs in America. Groundhogs, on the other hand, well, there were a lot of them, and the mighty groundhog became the face of the lore. The first official Groundhog Day celebration was in 1887, and it eventually turned into a whole thing.
Who's thinking straight?
Nowadays, Phil is always surrounded by a bunch of guys in top hats and tuxedos. They're called the Inner Circle, also known as Punxsutawney Phil's hype guys.
You have to understand something. There are 2 entities in the world that are infallible, the Pope and Punxsutawney Phil.
Phil will tell his prediction to the president of the Inner Circle, who is supposedly the only person who understands Phil's language, called Groundhogese. This is more of a body language. He may communicate with just a little wink. The vice president then pulls out one of 2 scrolls, each with a different prediction, and tells everyone the news.
There is no shadow of me. A beautiful spring it shall be.
Now the Groundhog Day party has become a tradition in places all over North America, each with their own version of Punxsutawney Phil. There's Staten Island Chuck, Buckeye Chuck, Jimmy the Groundhog, Dunkirk Dave, and in Canada, there's Wired and Willie, Shubenacadie Sam, and Balzac Billy. So how often are groundhogs right anyway? Phil's track record is actually pretty terrible. He's right about 40% of the time, meaning you're better off flipping a coin. But this might be a case of broken telephone.
Phil's predictions are always 100% correct. However, some people think he's wrong. Most likely our president has misinterpreted what Phil had predicted in the first place.
Whatever the case may be, people are just hoping to hear some good news.
Everybody's looking for some way to alleviate that feeling of being miserable all the time, and Groundhog Day does that for us.
That's reason enough for many people to give the spotlight to these furry forecasters just once a year.
All right, that's all I have for this Groundhog Day. Just so you know, that video was made last year before the pandemic, if you're wondering why no one has masks on. But also, Punxsutawney Phil did say there would be 6 more weeks of winter this year, but as we know, he's not right very much. So we'll see how the weather goes. Today it's going to be lovely and 81, so get outside, enjoy that sunshine. But remember, Morgan Maxwell Mountain Lions practice being safe, being responsible, being respectful, and being kind. Guys, it's a great day to have a great day, so I hope you have an awesome Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.